Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and right now we're going to react to the best 1v1 players in NBA history. Let's go.
Basketball is a team sport, but there's nothing more exciting than to watch one player get hot and destroy an entire team by himself. When the game is on the line, the ball goes to the best one-on-one scorer to win the game, and that's why these people get paid the big bucks. Here are 7 players who have 24 scoring titles between them and are the best isolation scorers in NBA history, in no particular order. Carmelo Anthony. Isolation at the high post, three-point shooting, driving past slower defenders, and many mid-range shots were almost an unguardable offense cocktail when he'd get hot. Carmelo's offensive game, although very old-fashioned by today's standards, was extremely effective in his prime. With a quick first step for a player of his size, perfect footwork, deceptive athleticism, a developed post play, and a jump shot that was smooth like butter, Carmelo was one of the toughest players to guard in the history of the league. His game was never really suited for speedy systems of George Karl and Mike D'Antoni, but when his coaches needed a bucket in the half court, they'd cross all their actions and simply give the ball to Melo. What made Anthony great was his determination and skill to make tough shots when the team needed them the most. He didn't care about pressure, and he treated the last minute just like he did the first quarter. Kobe acknowledged Melo, not LeBron, as one of the most challenging people he ever had to guard one-on-one because he was strong as a bull but had the finesse of a ballet dancer. James Harden. There are a lot of misconceptions about James Harden. The first one is that he doesn't play any defense, which is not true. The beard was great defensively in the last 2 playoffs. Charles Barkley says that he's all dribble. Also not true. Harden was second in assists per game this year. They say that James is not a winner and called him a prima donna for winning out of Houston, when it's the organization who's been trading pieces without any sense just to get below the luxury tax. But what nobody is saying is that James Harden can't score. His step backs and driving to the left were so effective and so ridiculously unguardable that the coaches would instruct their players to defend Harden from behind just to force him to the right. However, even if you take some of the things away, Harden can't be neutralized, and you have to pick your poison with him. His scoring numbers in Houston were outmatched by only Wilt Chamberlain in the 60s. But despite the same usage rate, despite the enormous amount of threes, Harden is still among the league leaders in efficiency year after year. That's because Harden is not your usual ball hog who's only looking to pump his numbers. He's also a willing passer. And if the defense overcommits, he'll find an open man with surgical precision. He's a true nuclear triple threat. A guy who can dribble, pass and shoot, and he can be your team's entire offense scheme if you need him to. Harden's ability to raise up for a shot from anywhere in the court in any given moment, to draw fouls at a historic rate, and to create for himself and others regardless of who else is on the court, made him one of the best scorers ever. Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is an astonishing finisher who can get buckets from all sides of the court any way he wants to over any defender. Because he's completely ambidextrous, he can dribble and finish around the rim with either hand, and because he can also jump from both feet, it's impossible to predict what he's going to do next. He's the best ball handler that ever lived, and he's one of the guys you'd buy a ticket to watch play, with the endless combination of hesitations, crosses, spins, or fakes. Watching Kyrie dance over a helpless defender often looks like Harlem Globetrotters playing against Washington Generals or one of his Uncle Drew commercials. He's also one of the most efficient scorers in the game today, and his clutch gene was proven in the playoffs when he made one of the most important shots in NBA history. Allen Iverson. AI was only 5'11" and change, but he was usually the biggest personality on every court he's ever played on. A crowd magnet, an alpha male, a freak of nature, and one of the fastest NBA players ever. A guy that never lifted weights and was one of the smallest guys in the NBA, but still one of the most respected and most feared at the same time. Why was everybody afraid? Because Allen was a killer who could embarrass you in the blink of an eye with his speed and ball handling. Iverson had the whole league on skates, and there was probably not a single guard from the 90s and early 2000s who hasn't been crossed over by AI. When he won the MVP in 2001, he used 38% of all Sixers possessions, which is why some people called him selfish, but also why many others thought of him as a god. His mantra was, shoot first, ask questions later, which maybe didn't look good for advanced statistics, but it was a guiding light for every small guard that came after him and believed it was possible to make it in a league of giants. Michael Jordan.
course,
Kenny
Michael
Smith,
Jordan's gonna be
MJ's
here.
former college teammate, called MJ the first transcendental athlete that had highly developed fundamentals. Kobe said that he wanted to emulate Jordan's technique because it was flawless. So what do you get when you have a man with a 48-inch vertical, with a flawless technique and a killer mentality? Not much. Only 6 rings, 5 MVPs, and about $1 billion from Nike alone, among other things. As a defender, you had to be exceptionally quick to stay in front of Michael, just so he doesn't embarrass you with his first step. But you couldn't only be quick. You had to be smart and disciplined to be able to cut off angles and driving lanes for Michael. So, if you were quick enough and positioned yourself well enough so that MJ can't get past, it meant only one thing.
Look at that
MJ's going
defense,
to
though.
use his 48-inch vertical and simply shoot a jumper in your face. If he had to go against a bigger defender, MJ would go for a fadeaway, which was really impossible to defend. You could only hope that he misses. Jordan was called Air Jordan for a reason. The defender and MJ would jump at the same time, but Michael would simply stay in the air longer, wait for gravity to do its thing, and then shoot over the poor guy when his feet would touch the ground. MJ was built different, and there was not an effective way to guard him other than foul him to death like the bad boy Pistons. Kevin Durant. If you were building a perfect one-on-one player in some kind of Frankenstein laboratory, you'd probably want him to be an exceptional ball handler so that he can get wherever he wants to with his dribble. You'd want that he's a great shooter so he could consistently knock down jumpers over people. And then, if you really wanted to embarrass your opponents, you'd want him to be really tall and athletic. Or you could just ask for Kevin Durant, who combines all those things in one extremely deadly package. If you call right away, you'll get a couple of burner accounts for free. All joking and Michael Rappaport trashing aside, Durant is a proper cheat code, and from all the people we just named here, he probably gets his buckets the easiest. Nobody else is a 7-footer who can knock down pull-up hezzy Jimbos from 30 feet, which KD perfectly demonstrated against LeBron in both the 2017 and 2018 NBA
I was watching
Finals.
that game live.
I'm guessing that's the reason why they call him
I was rooting
Easy
for
Money Sniper.
Cleveland that year.
Kobe
and
Bryant.
When
he was asked about
when Durant shot that shot, that pull-up tree, bro, that was crazy. I was in shock, bro. I was in shock. That was amazing.
Who would win in a one-on-one game between him and LeBron. Without any hesitation, Kobe said that it would be him and that he'd win in his sleep. Mamba also said that he was the best one-on-one player ever and that he never lost in a one-on-one game. Not to a 2-time scoring champ Tracy McGrady, not to Reggie Miller, Grant Hill, or any other NBA player he faced over the years. Even as a rookie, he roasted Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones, 2 of the best guards in the league at the time. And even though his statement is debatable because of how good Jordan and KD are, I'd have to agree with him here. When it came to scoring, Kobe had counter moves for every move a defender might try. He was a basketball savant, and he mastered every aspect of the basketball game, practicing every move to exhaustion. That's why many people believe he was the most offensively skilled player that ever played. When it comes to stopping other people from scoring, Kobe was one of the best ever to do it on that end of the floor too. Just like Jordan, Kobe was a defensive ace in his prime, and he's made 12 all-defensive teams during his career, the second most in NBA history.
Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Peace.